Hey, how's it going, guys? This is your boy Hazzed, and today we're going to be doing the top 5 list for melee DPS. Now, this was a really hard list to put together, guys, because we really had to decide what exactly made a melee DPS under this circumstance. Because we had to kind of decide now, do we include the melee that deal mostly caster or chaos damage or elemental damage, or do we just bluntly put out, more warrior substantial melee to it compared to like a Unholy DK, which is certain specs mainly ranged. So we kind of worked this out and talked about it a bit. We decided we couldn't necessarily do it like that, and we kind of took basically the generalization of most of the classes: damage, mechanics, and survivability. And the other main thing we mainly put out to be one of the giant things when it came to building a list of melee DPS is how good that these melees are at initiating a fight. Because if you're not good at tanking or initiating a fight as a melee class, I can't really consider you a good melee if you can't tank some damage. So anyways, guys, let's go ahead and jump into this top 5 list. Number 5 on this list is going to go to sub rogues or Muti rogues, I'd have to say. Now, it was kind of tough choosing between this, enhancement shaman. I believe there was another one that was in the mix, and I can't quite think of it right now. But the reason why rogue takes this place is it came down to damage. I'd have to say shamans and rogues both have potential to have insane burst, while I'd say shamans have a little more burst. As far as survivability goes, though, I'd have to say shamans are not very good at initiating. I'd say they're okay, but they can get locked down pretty easy. Now you're thinking, well, rogue doesn't usually run in first. Actually, that's kind of true, but kind of not true. Of course, they run in on a target and they sap, and they go for the next target, and they wait till their partner's ready, and then they pop out on the target and go ham. Now, why are rogues definitely going to be number 5 and not higher up, even though they're higher up on a lot of duel lists and stuff, is just for the simple fact that if they get caught out of stealth or in the opener against a lot of these classes that are higher on the list, they have a potential to basically rip off their face, just absolutely force them to re-stealth, go invis, and take them out of combat just because of how squishy they are. So as good as they are at hitting something, stunning it, and kind of initiating the fight, they are not very good at the elongated fight that the other melee, like the ones with self-heals, leech damage, things like that, are going to have. So I'd have to say rogues are very good at the first initiation, but a little bit after that is where they're going to start, as I was saying before, definitely start lacking and, kind of falling apart after that. And, of course, as you know, rogues have an extreme strength when it comes to 1v1 combat against just about any class. Sub-rogues can absolutely dominate just based upon mechanic stability of the class. And of course, they have some of the wildest bursts that you've probably seen in game, just based off of openers. Critting for 700 to a million plus damage if you pop your cooldowns correctly. And targets just explode. Basically, popping your Symbol of Death for the opener, and then throwing in your Shadow Dance full combat stacked. Death from above, just ripping players apart. Now, I believe this opener and stuff has been nerfed and tweaked down a few times. Definitely not making it as strong as it was, but I'd have to say sub-rogues are still very efficient at what they can do, but just their survivability and it is going to be what tones down this class to number 5. As far as peeling, though, of course, we know rogues have some pretty savage peels, of course, with their opening stuns, their kidney shots, their blinds, probably other specs, gouge, and the fact if they get switched to and they start taking damage, they can sprint away, they can blind and sprint away, they can just simply vanish and get out of combat. Not very hard on a rogue to perform some of these abilities. I'd have to say harder to perform at higher ranks, definitely. Maybe not in Legion. I have to say they're just about as straightforward as most classes are. They do quite a bit of damage, just about anything they do. It's kind of ridiculous. As for mobility, the class, of course, has insane mobility and basically can shadow step you wherever you are on the map. You will never escape a sub-rogue. Like, you won't. You will not kite out a sub-rogue. Don't try to do it. It's not going to work, even on a DK. Even if I'm, like, overcommitted, I still just burst the sub rogue as hard as I can. Like, there's no way you're gonna get away. There's not much time to get to another class. You might as well just smack him in the face just as hard as you can. But that's I'd have to say that's gonna be why rogues are gonna come in at number 5 and not higher on the list. And just barely beating out enhancement shamans, I'd have to say, even though enhancement shamans, of course, have off heals and a bit more utility. And their damage is ranged, of course, so it's kind of like the sub, but sub definitely comes in better when it comes to initiating the fight or setting up for your current partner. So let's go ahead and jump to the next number. Number 4 on this list is going to go to Arms Warriors, guys. Arms/Fury. Now, why Arms/Fury? They deal quite a bit of damage. I'd have to say, for being king of aggressiveness, we gotta give it to Warriors. Because, I mean, for the most part, I'd have to say most their damage, most their defense is also basically offense. I mean, take away Die by Sword and a couple of their healing abilities, and the fact that they can heroic leap out of LOS and get some major healing and then get back into combat is not half bad. But I'd have to say, compared to some of the other classes, it's defensively lacking. But as far as going offensive, Warriors have a pretty good offensive ability. They can deal quite a bit of major damage. They can deal quick burst, as well as having an insane build-up burst that they can use just based upon spec. Now, I believe they nerfed down Prot and Arms, the one-shot abilities, quite a bit. But I'd have to say, for the most part, Warriors can deal quite a bit of consistent as well as major burst damage. Not only that, they can do quite a bit in AoE because, of course, their artifact weapon can actually apply Colossal Smash to both targets, and then, of course, you can do quite a bit of AoE pressure to multiple and or all targets, making it pretty good for AoE cleaves, believe it or not. I would say not as strong as some of those other classes we'll be discussing on the list, but I'd have to say pretty powerful. Now, for the rank of initiation, I'd have to say Warriors have one of the best initiations because, of course, they want to go hard aggressive all the time. So the first chance they basically get to get on a target, they basically go ham. They go ham on it. They just go out hard. They smash it as hard as they can. Try to buy enough time, of course, for their partner. And then if they have to, start popping either defensives, LOS, drop back, pop commanding shout, use one of your heals, things like that. But aggressively, I'd have to say Warriors are probably one of the best, but when it comes down to defensive, it's definitely going to be where they come in at number 4. When it comes to peeling for a lot of targets, they can peel pretty good, but when it comes to, like, peeling a Warrior or something, or peeling a Death Knight or something along those lines that has Icy Chain spam, they definitely can't compete too well with that. I'd have to say Warriors are definitely one of the most kiteable classes when it comes to playing caster and or anything that has a very high kite ability. But besides that, I'd have to say Warriors are pretty solid at number 4, and all around definitely fun to play. But definitely lack in the defensive and probably some of the mechanics for fighting a lot of at least skilled casters. It's probably one of the reasons it pushed me towards DK to begin with. Anyways, guys, let's go ahead and jump on to the next number. Number 3 on this list is going to be Windwalker Monks, guys. Now, why Windwalker? Of course, we got to discuss their ability to initiate combat. Now, Windwalkers, guys, of course, they are extremely mobile, extremely fast. So they can initiate combat pretty easy on a target and get in there and just cause some major damage. Basically, when it comes to Windwalkers, you guys know they have a pretty solid slow, which is disabled. They can keep most targets off you, and if you ever get too close and they feel like getting you off their DPS, they'll go ahead and save up their stacks for increased damage of Fists of Fury, and by the time you actually get close to your target, they're going to unload some crazy CC that they can move around and stun everybody and cause some crazy amount of damage, of course, with major cooldowns, causing this class to be very powerful when it comes to being a melee DPS. And of course, Touch of Karma within that initiation, you really don't want to touch them because as soon as they pop that Touch of Karma, it reflects 100% of your damage back on you with their insane amount of healing. I'd say mostly 100% of damage, unless you can exceed the 50% of total health, which is like in combat or roughly around 1 million. So if you think you can burst a monk for over 1 million and kill him within his karma, go right ahead. It is possible to do, but for the most part, I mean, even as a Frost DK, I don't even like messing with Karma. Karma is completely evil. Doesn't matter how good you are. You put a full burst into Karma and your burst doesn't work and the healer heals the other DPS through it, you're going to be facing some major problems, of course, in any situation, really. And of course, the other thing that makes this class cool, since they have all the rolls, kind of like I just ran in for Surfing Kick, of course, they can disengage by rolling away and LOSing. Of course, they can pre-plan again and put up their port, go in and initiate the combat, hit somebody, stun the crap out of them, build up some stacks, and then portal away, completely heal up, making this class absolutely savage for initiation and buying time for your partner, of course. And of course, they have quite a few AoE CCs and stuns for major peels. I'd say when it comes to defensive peels, I'd have to say monks are probably one of the best in the game at it. And for offensive CCs, monks definitely are pretty high up there. That's why you always see monks and frost DKs in like 3 situations playing together, because a frost DK lacks general CC, while a monk has a lot of CC and consistent damage, while the frost DK has good consistent damage and a major burst, making it a very strong comp for any arena team. And that's why Windwalker Monk is going to come in at number 3 on this list. And the only thing I'd have to say they're lacking is just an absolutely insane burst, but they definitely have enough consistent damage to make up for it. Number 2 on this list is going to be Havoc Demon Hunters. Now, why Havoc Demon Hunters, guys? As you know, Demon Hunters, of course, can see invis, making it one of the best abilities for fighting any kind of rogue comp, because you can actually go out against that rogue, chuck your glaive at him and or his partner, and potentially have it bounce off of him and hit the rogue. So you get him out and in combat foiling his opener, which is going to make it just absolutely amazing for initiation. Now, initiation is one of the most important parts, definitely on most melee classes, as you can buy time for your partner, of course. Now, how does initiation go for a demon hunter? Of course, they're going to go demon form and go ham in on the target. Now, during their initiation, they can pop quite a bit of burst and AoE cooldowns. During those burst and AoE cooldowns, of course, while you have metamorphosis up, you basically get a 100% leech off of the damage that you're hitting. So you can imagine that this class really thrives from being in melee range, making it absolutely insane for getting into combat, and of course, with the amount of mobility they have, for getting right back out of combat, making them absolutely amazing initiators, and the fact that they have AoE stuns make them absolutely perfect for being very aggressive and buying time for any kind of partner and or teammate. Now, the only thing that kind of sucks is they don't have much for, slowing somebody down or for major peels. I mean, they have the stun and they have the warglaive slow, but for the most part, I wouldn't say they have a very good consistent slow. But I would say they have a lot of mobility to make up for it, which of course could buy a lot of time for your partner also. Just the fact that them chasing around your partner while you're putting in the insane amount of DPS on a Demon Hunter is just absolutely devastating to anybody in 2s or double DPS, of course. So that's why Demon Hunters are only going to come in at 2 on this list and not number 1, because I'd have to say most of their ability is basically going extremely aggressive and, of course, a little kiting. But even when they're kiting, of course, they don't have very much healing involved. So not making them very defensive, but very offensive and very good for initiating the fight. Number 1 on this list is going to sound biased, obviously, because, I mean, it's a Frost DK channel, so what are you going to get? But anyways, guys, number 1 is going to go to DKs, not only Frost, but Unholy. Now, I had to really think about this one. I wasn't going to put Frost so high on the list, but I thought I'd just put Frost and Unholy on, the same thing, so you don't have DKs taking up multiple rankings. So basically, why is Frost DK and Unholy DK going to be at the top? Well, Frost DKs, as you know from the recent Syndra Goes Up bus, has given them just an insane burst. You throw up, your breath, you get your main CDs rolling with Remorseless Winter, of course, and you can basically, chop down 3 or more targets, effortlessly. I'd have to say is one of the reasons why this class is going to be number 1. Now, the other reason is, of course, as we just saw, there's just a ton of AoE DPS. And the other thing that Frost DKs really have is a big heal that comes from IBF, which causes them to flip. Now, a lot of classes have pretty good amount of burst. General good mechanics, but the thing that really puts Frost DK ahead, as you saw probably from those previous arenas, how much damage they can pump out, how quickly they can do it. A lot of classes can't seem to handle that kind of damage, so it's going to be really strong. Now, when you combine Frost with Unholy, kind of like I did, it's going to be one of the reasons why it's going to be so high on the list. So let's jump over to the Unholy and kind of explain. Real quickly, I need to touch on the mechanic that makes Frost and Unholy really strong when it comes to being melee DPS. The fact is they can peek out and hit IC chains. I forgot to mention this when I was making the video at first. Basically, it's going to be the initiator. Why are Frost DKs and Unholy such great initiators? Is they can control a fight from basically behind a pillar. They can pop out, hit a chains, hit another target with a chains, and have both targets chains before they even come out and start applying their dots, which is going to give your partner, either, you know, a caster or something that takes a little more amping up time, a lot of time, and it's going to give them a lot of openings to start working on their setup. And that's going to be one of the things that definitely comes into play a lot in Arena, is how well you can get a setup on some of these classes, like this Shadow Priest right here. 1v1, if you get 2 targets sitting on you, you're going to get owned on a Shadow Priest. But you have a smart DPS that can go out and initiate and buy you some time as you're building up some of those abilities. You're gonna have a lot better, a lot better chance of winning the match. I'd have to say, definitely by far, with playing with classes that can initiate, you know, have some kind of absorb, a major heal, you know, get out of magic damage. It's gonna be your best bet when playing with some kind of class like that in Legion. Just seeing how bursty everything is. Let's go ahead and start discussing, you know, damage mechanics, CC, things like that. Now, what's going to set these classes ahead of the other melee, of course, is going to be just mechanics. Now, Frost DKs are absolutely great at kiting, so are Unholies, so they can throw out their kiting and deal a lot of pressure at range. Now, when Frost is doing this, basically they're building up runic power to get up their burst, so by the time that you come around the corner and face them, they've already got an extreme amount of damage to pump out on the target, while Unholy, of course, spreads his dots, can sit completely LOS. I mean, heck, he doesn't have to be anywhere near the targets. He'd be like, dude, look at this bed over here, as he's, you know, taking, just ripping the damage out of the whole team. Now, so why would I say this has to be the best melee class? Of course, just raw damage DKs are far ahead of a lot of the other classes, just based on their mechanics. They also have quite a bit of survivability, where Unholy doesn't have as much healing as Frost. Unholy makes up for it by basically having an invulnerability shield from Corpse Shield. Now you're thinking, yeah, Corpse Shield's strong. It does quite a bit, but the only problem with Corpse Shield, of course, if they don't have their pet, it's going to actually, you know, it's not going to work. They're going to take quite a bit of damage. The defensive, there we go, defensive stance. All right, basically, the crazy thing about Unholy, of course, is just the straight mechanics. Like, mechanically, Unholy is just far superior to many classes. They have better dots than most of the casters, as you saw in some of the other lists. And all in all, I'd have to say this is going to be one of the strongest 1v1 classes when it comes to Arena based on LOS. Because, I mean, like, look at that. We're going to run all the way over here. We got our Plague on the target. We're going to go all the way over here to, like, this mailbox over here. Yeah, we're still hitting them with the Epidemic. We're going to get back a little more. And we're finally out of the range. Yep, it took that far. It took that far. We literally had to go, like, was it 500 yards or something crazy? 100 yards. 100 yards away. So 100 yards is from here to that training dummy in there. That's how far away Unholy DK can hit you. That's a maximum range. As you know, is just ridiculous. You can't run from them. You can't run to them. You really, there's no safe place to be fighting an Unholy DK unless you're like a crazy burst melee and you're up close on them. So it's obvious like this class is going to be number one since they are extremely powerful when it comes to duels. Not the strongest, of course. They have the insane AoE ability, and when it comes to Arena, they are absolutely destroying the damage charts when it comes down to it, especially after that last little Frost buff, leaving Unholy and Frost to be at number one on this list. And of course, until next time, guys, this is your boy Haze. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video. And till next time.